I got to start with maybe the dumbest thing heard a Republican say this week. And basically, this happened on Monday. This is with a Republican congressman named Mark Alford of Missouri. And he was trying to defend Elon Musk's slash and burn strategy of let's fire everybody in the federal government, or at least as many people as he can get away with, even though Elon and his like 20-year-old, whatever, high school dropouts turned his interns, even though none of them have any idea what these workers do or how vital their jobs actually are. I think just earlier today he was bragging about how he was doing a good job, but then he said, yeah, we accidentally fired some people who work on Ebola, but don't worry, we hired them back. And the truth is he has not hired them back. So you can't defend it. It's a really dumb, awful thing Elon Musk and the Republicans are doing. But this guy, Mark Alford, Republican congressman, he does this. I don't think it was called a town hall. It was just like a coffee shop sort of weekly meet and greet sort of thing. But he was trying to defend this, and you can't defend it because there's no defense for firing thousands and thousands of people who have dedicated their lives to doing thankless jobs. And then maybe some of them get rehired due to backlash or because Elon Musk figured out they were actually important. But it causes chaos. It impedes the vital work these people do. And Republican ignorance should never be a valid defense for decimating government agencies. So what happened at this coffee shop town hall where Mark Alford was asked what he's going to do to stand up to Elon Musk? Because you already know the answer to that. The answer is he's not going to. He's just going to let Elon Musk and Donald Trump do whatever they want. And his job is to provide a rubber stamp to any policy they want passed in the House. But he can't say that. So I want to show you a clip of something that happened during this conversation, and then we'll talk about it. Let's see if you could hear what is being said, because there's a lot of shouting going on. But let me play this for you.
And just because you have a government job doesn't mean it's a lifetime appointment like the Supreme Court. So I would encourage anyone
sir. I don't understand.
to realize that we are going to get
Mr. Alford.
again. There are jobs available.
I wrote a
God
question
has a
down,
plan
but you
and
haven't
purpose for your
answered it.
life.
I'm concerned about my life.
And
Sir,
you
are you concerned about my life? Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford.
So are you going to make sure that DRP's paid
All
out?
right.
Concerned about my life. Next question.
Let's have 30 seconds of yelling while I drink a cup of coffee.
Okay, is the DRP going to be paid?
Yikes. That ending did not help. Like, here, let me drink some coffee for 30 seconds while you all scream and yell. Like, could anyone think less of his constituents than these Republicans at town hall meetings? But if you didn't hear, what he said at the beginning of that segment is just because you have a government job doesn't mean it's a lifetime appointment like a Supreme Court, which is a dumb thing to say because no one's expecting these government jobs to be lifetime appointments. What they are asking for is respect for the work they do, some appreciation for what they do, and not being tossed out of their jobs for absolutely no reason other than Elon Musk is too dumb to understand what they do. Like, if you got fired because you deserved it, no one's complaining about that. They're complaining because of the callous, idiotic way Republicans are doing this. And then, on top of that, Alford said after that, I would encourage anyone who finds themselves in this situation to realize that we are going to get this economy turning again. There are jobs available. God has a plan and purpose for your life. That's the thing he said that got so many people pissed off, because not just because of this, but it's a wildly idiotic thing to say when roughly 30,000 people in Kansas City, where he was, work for the federal government, according to the Kansas City Star, especially when pretty much all of them did absolutely nothing to deserve getting fired. It's also a reminder that Republicans cannot defend what the Trump administration is doing in their name. That's why so many of them have decided no more town halls. I don't want to speak to my constituents because they're all really mad at me. And I think it's easier to just cower away rather than face them and explain myself. And what is Alford doing? He is trying to deflect responsibility from himself and pin it on God instead. This is all part of God's plan. God's going to take care of you, not me, not the guy you elected to literally take care of you. He's cosplaying as a pastor when he's supposed to be a member of Congress. He is suggesting that he has no role to play in what the Republican administration is doing, when the truth is his party is actively propping up the morons in charge who are causing the pain. Alford literally voted for a budget that would reduce Medicare and Medicaid. He just did that this week. And now he's like, I didn't have anything to do with anything. Listen, here's why you can't think God is going to take care of any of this. Look, God is not going to pay these workers mortgages. God is not going to provide them with health insurance. And hell, if God has a plan and purpose for the people who just had their livelihoods destroyed, then we ought to be able to blame God for causing that senseless suffering. And any God who did what Elon Musk is doing isn't worth worshiping. I mean, the only thing God and Elon Musk have in common is that neither one of them was elected. It's almost unbelievable how many times Republicans want everyone to trust someone else's plan, whether it's God's or Elon's, when they have no ability to articulate the specifics. Why is Elon Musk getting rid of the most important people in these thankless jobs that no one knows what they do? Why is he getting rid of people who work on like nuclear waste? Why is he getting rid of people who help planes land safely? Because he's too dumb to know what they do and too dumb to understand what it is he doesn't know. Elon doesn't know what he's doing. He wants you to trust him. God has a plan for you, but the details are unknown. That response, basically saying, oh, if you got fired, thoughts and prayers. That's essentially what he said. That's the same response Christians give when there's like a mass shooting because of the weapons that they allow to spread. It's the same response they give to children in cancer wards, because guess what? Elon Musk just shut down scientific research that could actually help those people in those cancer wards. Like, God is looking out for you is not comforting when the end result is God wants to screw you over. The government should not be in the business of thoughts and prayers. And it wasn't comforting for the people in that room either, and they let this guy know it. This is from one local paper. Let me show you this. When he said that, the crowd exploded into yelling and screaming. "We don't want your God," a woman screamed. "Our God is Christian," implying that his God is not. I also like this. This is from the dude who actually recorded that video I played for you. In an interview, what's his name? I think Dan or David. Daniel Sharpenberg, who is a local union leader, said federal workers don't need thoughts and prayers. What workers need, he said, is for people to stand up for them and make clear that Musk, the billionaire who Trump put in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency Initiative, isn't the president. His answer was not a real answer. Talking about Congressman Alford. All of that is absolutely true. And by the way, none of these people who are complaining, it's not like they are necessarily atheists. These are people who just think elected officials have a duty to represent their constituents instead of making excuses for their Republican leaders' incompetence because they don't have the guts to push back themselves. The sad part about all this is Alford is in no danger of losing his job because he won a re-election last year by a very comfortable margin in a very red district, which means he's even less likely to give a damn about all the lives he's destroying by supporting the Republican agenda. Like, unless the conservative voters in that district realize they're the ones contributing to the suffering by electing idiots like him, nothing is going to change. I will say there is one unintentional consequence of what he did, though, because when you merge harmful Republican policies with appeals to Christianity, I think both of those labels become more toxic in the years to come. People will not want to be Republicans. People will not want to be Christians. Like when this backlash emerges, which my God, I hope that happens soon. Not only, I hope, will people not vote for Republicans, they'll distance themselves from the Christian label. But none of that is going to help the people Alford doesn't care about because he thinks giving power to Trump and Musk is worth sacrificing his own constituents. And when people started sharing that clip online, this is a tweet from the Kansas City Star. You could see this here. Kansas City Star Representative Mark Alford tells fired Kansas City federal workers God has a plan at hostile town hall. Guess who replied to that tweet? Mark Alford, who said, actually, the full quote is God has a plan and purpose for your life. You are not a victim. You are a victor. I'm sure that makes the people who got fired feel much better. He said, I was honored to be there and to hear concerns and answer questions. I only wish that we could have had a discussion. Thanks for covering today. Granted, he's not signing up so people can have more discussions. I don't think he has more town halls scheduled. And also, he didn't answer questions. He offered these pithy, thoughtless statements that helped nobody. So this idea like, oh, you missed what I said. Yeah, I did say God has a plan for your life, but you guys, I also said, hey, if you got fired, don't worry, you're a victor. And how dare you not quote me on that? They didn't quote you on it because it doesn't make you feel any better. It doesn't make you look any better. It's just you being an asshole in a different way. Like the people who lost their jobs due solely to the Republican fetish for destroying the government are victims. They're victims of Republican negligence. And I'm sure many of them will find other jobs elsewhere, but it's the rest of us who are going to suffer if and when they are not replaced or they are replaced by someone with less experience, less competency, right? If he gave a damn about his own job, maybe he would understand that. Instead, the only person who should be losing his job is the one guy who doesn't care as long as it happens to everyone else. So that comment made me mad. And I think I will just stop there with this story and take some questions. What do we got today? These town halls are getting crazy. They are kind of amazing, though. It is good to see when Republicans hold town halls, they are packed no matter what city they're happening in, no matter how red the district, and that people, Republicans included, are pushing back against this chaos. Like you want people to show up and take part in democracy and push back, fight back, let these constituents know that they are getting fed up and they're sick of it. And that if this congressperson doesn't push back, because that's their job, or if they say to a Democrat, you're not doing enough to push back, that stuff has an impact. If you ask people who work in congressional offices, when you realize, oh no, there's like an uprising happening in my district and I may not get reelected or I may get primaried by someone else, that's the sort of thing they care about. They won't care about, Republicans won't care about these people's jobs. But if they think they're going to lose their job because they won't get voted back in, suddenly they might do something. And we've seen examples of that. Hearing politicians talk about God is making me irrationally, violently angry. It's always God has a plan when it's everyone else's pain, but why did God abandon me when it's theirs? I mean, yes, it's the age-old problem with religion in a nutshell that existed long before Elon Musk and Donald Trump came around. But it is so callous, and I think it's easier for people to understand. Like, if you lost a loved one, tragic time of your life, that's awful. If someone said to me, hey, you lost a parent, you lost a grandparent or whatever, don't worry, God has a plan. I think part of me is like, that doesn't help, but I know you have good intentions, so I'm going to let this one slide maybe because I know you're just trying to make me feel better. But when you lose your job because Republicans just want to destroy the federal government, and your congressperson's response is, don't worry, it's part of God's plan for you, I could see them getting absolutely pissed off, because you're not saying that out of any genuine sympathy for what these people are going through. You're saying that because you don't want to admit your party sucks at doing your job. And that's it. That makes people even more angry at the Republicans who represent them and the religion they're citing in that defense. Can't all the laid off employees sue for wrongful termination? Even if they lose, fighting back can slow Elon down by bogging Doge down in court. I think several of the employees have done that. I don't know what leverage they have. I mean, again, most of these employees are, and I mean this in the best way, they're random people. They don't necessarily have money to get a lawyer and to sue. They're just at the mercy of whoever is in charge of their department. But I think some people have sued. But even if the jobs magically come back, that pause between when you get fired and maybe when you return, that does a lot of damage. It upends your life. Because what are you supposed to do if you get fired? You might start looking for another job. And if a couple months later they say, oh, you can have your old job back, you may have moved. You may have tried to get a new job. You may be gone. The government is about to lose a lot of lifetime expertise, and you cannot recover that with a Democratic administration next time around. Like, this is just shooting ourselves in the foot because we happen to have a bunch of idiot Republicans in charge. Oh, thank you for that donation. Not to be accelerationist, but listening to your interview, I assume you mean with Catherine Stewart, the author. My top thought is cool. Let them finally have it and watch them fuck everything up. Theocracy cannot work in America. Part of me wants to believe that too. Like, fine, they're in charge. They control every section of government right now. Go ahead. Do whatever you want, because it's not going to work, because the people who are smarter than you and who have actually crunched the numbers and thought these things through know how this story ends, and it's not going to be great. The problem with that thought is you are, by saying, all right, let them have it, watch them screw everything up, you are assuming Republicans will watch them fail, watch themselves fail, and then say, well, I guess our ideas are bad. No, they're not capable of that kind of self-reflection. They never correct their own mistakes. They're going to find a way to blame it on Democrats, as they always do, because these people cannot take responsibility. And it won't ultimately matter, because when they screw everything up, what that means is, oh, I guess these diseases are just going to spread like measles in Texas right now. You know what I mean? We're not going to get a flu shot next year because the government's not going to fund the pharmaceutical companies who actually make those flu shots for next winter. Things like that. And even if Republicans screw up, I don't think I'm going to feel good saying, I told you so, when the end result is a whole bunch of people are sick and dying and out of a job and not able to get health care, insurance, what have you. So I don't think it's okay to just say, let them screw up. Let them, they made their bed, let them lie in it, because we're the ones who are going to suffer because of their negligence. So it is our responsibility to fight back now before things get worse. Any predictions of what will happen with Doge and Musk? I can only follow American politics intermittently and would appreciate your thoughts on this. I mean, my prediction, I wouldn't bet any money on this, but my prediction is really soon it's going to start dragging down a lot of Republicans. It already is. It's why they don't want to have town hall meetings. So Elon's so bad at what he does because he's a moron. He just happens to be a very rich idiot. He's so bad at what he does. He's going to hurt so many people, and it's going to start dragging down a bunch of Republicans. And Donald Trump at that point is just going to fire him and blame all the problems Republicans have caused on Elon Musk. And then he's like, well, Elon's gone, so now you can love me again, even though he only surrounds himself by other idiots who are going to make the same mistakes. So I don't know how long, maybe a month, maybe a couple months. Man, I hope it's not longer than that. Trump will get sick of Elon Musk getting all the attention and all the praise for talking and everything. But as soon as Republicans start getting the responsibility and the accountability for Elon's awfulness, Trump will kick out Elon Musk, Doge will end, and then Republicans will keep doing all the awful shit they're doing because Elon Musk is just the figurehead, but they're all this dumb. The entire party is this stupid. It's not just one dude. So that breakup will eventually happen. That's my prediction. But it won't stop all the bad stuff from happening. That's not going to change unless people start voting more sensibly.